Hi, and welcome to My Work Mentor. This is my new YouTube channel to help anybody with various situations at work. I've been a little bit about me. I guess I've been working with various young people. I used to be the newbie in the office, having to learn the ropes. I come from a professional services background. And I remember when I first got started, I came out of school with a lot of great skills and, worked my way to being a rock star reputation. And it was really good for me to be able to help with my professional development, people that coached and mentored me. And as I grew professionally, specifically in consulting, and I've come from working from a number of prestigious firms, including in the Big Four. And a big part of the values there is coaching and mentoring. People are really, there's no products. People are the main assets of a consulting firm. And it was in everyone's best interest to be surrounded by uh, the best people possible. And part of that was training and mentoring, and on the job, as well as workshops for training. And I thought it'd be great to try to translate as much of that into a channel. And what I was hoping to do was to be able to cover topics like soft skills on this channel. Soft skills are going to be everything from communication, time management, uh, and communication could be either both in presentation form, speaking, and written, especially. And I would like to be able to impart as many of the things that I've learned over the years with soft skills. In consulting, you eventually want to get in front of clients, and being able to communicate technical topics or subject matter expertise and build your reputation and become a trusted advisor is critical to your success in consulting. And I think those skills translate very well in personal situations and various professional situations, especially in industry. Being able to be relied upon and showcasing your knowledge and being able to communicate that in a concise and articulate manner goes a long ways in terms of being able to showcase your value to your employers. And the other thing that I'd like to touch on would be various tips for the job, how to deal with various situations. Difficult conversations is probably the one that comes to mind the most, because this could be with somebody that you're working with that might not be performing as well, and you might be their team lead, or you might be their formal mentor and coach or advisor at work, and how to be able to coach them and become more aware and improve, and really to have a environment of continuous improvement. That would be the most beneficial in cases of underperforming, and really just everyone trying to better themselves. So those are some of the types of things that I would like to try to address with this channel. And then the last thing is coaching, and there's going to be lots of other topics. I'm hoping this is really just the first video. I'm trying to get it out there to get started. I saw something on, I think it was a billboard, post of a billboard. Your first video is not going to be the best, and your first post is not going to be the best. Your first of anything is probably not going to be the best. So I'll also be looking at trying to improve going forward. But I've seen quite a bit of articles in the last several years and feedback from either my clients or my colleagues that some of the younger generations might be struggling a little bit. And I was hoping to be able to provide great content that will help in that regard. And I'm looking forward to being able to just impart, almost 2 decades now of knowledge and experience. And I've always found it fun. I've successfully coached a number of professionals, my colleagues, both formally and informally over the years. And it's great seeing people just develop and, where they've ended up over the years, but also being able to get promotions and just succeed. And, when you're able to elevate others, I think it helps just push everyone up. And that's really been the type of leader, the type of coach and mentor that I've aspired to be, that I've expected from my coaches and mentors. Life's always about learning, and I think there's always an opportunity, even for myself, to continually improve. And that's part of what I'm just hoping to achieve with this channel, and showcasing as many skills as I can. And what I have also been noticing are several articles about Gen Z, and not to single out Gen Z, but for some reason, Gen Z, and this might be part of the pandemic, and just I think with people interacting with each other a lot more or not not informally, but through a device. A lot of instant messaging, chat applications, messaging on social media. That nonverbal, that lack of in-person exchange has probably contributed to that over the years. And everybody gets, it's so much easier to send a message on your iPhone or, iMessage, or than getting, on a call with somebody, or having a lengthy phone call to catch up with an old friend. And so I thought, when I started seeing more of these over the years, I thought this might be an opportunity. A lot of people have self-coaching courses, both for new professionals. I've seen a lot of views on TikTok that show the Gen Z work perspective. And I think really just they're looking for some guidance. And I'm hoping that my channel will help to address that. So looking at some of these, what Gen Z wants in the workplace, how should companies adapt to Gen Z? How does it see its place in the world? Employers reveal why Gen Z is the hardest generation to work with. And I don't really think there's much different about Gen Z than other generations, really just wanting to have access to good coaches and mentors, right? And I think the willingness of some professionals, I think maybe we're just not as patient with each other anymore and not willing to teach. I think that was something that I had tutored when I was being in college. I really enjoy helping my nieces and nephews with their homework. I really view, teaching and coaching to be one and the same. And really, if you want to work with the best people, you also have to be willing to make that investment. And so I think that is something that's getting a little bit lost in work. And again, I don't know if that's partly because of the pandemic and we stopped working together. We stopped interacting as much in person. I think you can still get quite a good interaction over video calls, but with young people not having as much runway or track record, either being in the office or being in the workplace, especially since the pandemic, a lot of those social skills, those work social skills, are just not developed. And so, again, something to try to address in general with this channel. And I am hoping that everyone will like the content here. I'm excited about trying this out, and not trying to change the narrative, right? I don't think that like this one here, Gen Z is labeled difficult. Again, I mean, I think that's just unfair. And let's try to do something about it. Let's work together. Let's have a dialogue. Let's learn from each other. I think there's a lot that Gen Z has to offer to other generations, a new perspective, a perspective on if we can change things. Change is not easy. Change takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. But let's all be a part of the conversation. Let's just work better together and do our best to improve one another. So I thought this would be a good starting point to give an example of some of the types of content. And I thought this one might be a little bit fun to talk a little bit about slang and Gen Z slang, and then also do a section on, I guess, work jargon, which is also another type of slang, but some of the other generations might have a hard time understanding what Gen Z means, and then vice versa. Some of the slang and expressions in an office setting might come as unfamiliar to some of the younger generations like Gen Z. And so here's a few examples. Vibe. This one is more about atmosphere, I guess sentiment, based on whatever. It could be good vibes, bad vibes. I like the vibe of our team. That would typically be something positive or good vibes. Gen Z also likes to bring the vibes. So that would be bringing positive, typically atmosphere and just feelings to wherever they are. No cap. This is very similar to saying no lie, and it's just the truth behind something that's being said, no matter how crazy it might seem. And just an example, he is a champion swimmer. No cap. Bet. This is to accept a challenge or respond to an assigned task, just as an acknowledgement, or again, if there's some kind of challenge or doubt about somebody could do something, then you say bet. So could you please send me that email update? Bet. Lit. This one's probably heard this one a lot more. This is if something's exciting, or how to describe an event, if it was going to be fun or not. This example, the happy hour after the training is supposed to be lit. Basic. This is another one that is pretty commonly used, and it is to describe something that's a bit more common, mainstream, or boring. It's a bit of a mild insult. And the example here is, I didn't like her slide deck. It was so basic. And note the use of slide deck and not the word presentation or PowerPoint presentation. That puts you into the boomer category. Gen Z and other younger generations, they typically prefer the use of saying slide deck instead. Sus. This is an abbreviation for suspicious. It refers to behavior activity that's considered abnormal for Gen Z, I guess. And then they call, in the example, they call an all hands meeting. That's sus. Slay refers to something that's impressive, or it could be a response to an event, or somebody with a great outfit on, some kind of impressive action, or a life update. I finally got that new account I've been working on. Slay. Cancel. Probably heard this maybe as cancel culture. This is to stop giving support because something becomes problematic for whatever reason or other type of motivation. Return to the office is canceled. Fire. This is similar to lit, something that is very enjoyable. That lunch was fire. Riz. This one is short for charisma. Describes typically somebody who's a smooth talker and can navigate conversational situations like a pro. The example here, those with no riz have poor speaking skills. So for this section, I thought I'd talk a little bit about some common work jargon in a professional setting that I've come across. I probably use these not so often, but they definitely come up. So boiling the ocean, this one you probably heard a number of times. And what does that really mean? It's practically impossible. But when it's used, it's really to describe an action or some kind of project that's going to be a waste of time, something that's you don't want to have like an excess of. And so an example here, let's not boil the ocean on that project. Wrapped around the axle. This is to get caught up in a difficult situation. I think the origin of this is from horses and carriages. If you think about it, you'll see, like maybe in your vacuum cleaner, like hair can literally get wrapped around the axle. But it's really intended to mean getting caught up in a difficult situation that you might either have a hard time getting out of or you can get stuck. So he was wrapped around the axle on his task. Reaching out. I remember when I first heard this one, this was like, okay, I think I know what they're trying to say. I had been thanked for reaching out. I think when I replied on a thank you letter after an interview or inquiring about the position after I'd gotten an offer. And so this is really describing communicating or contacting individuals or business. Thanks for reaching out about the delay. Leverage. To leverage something, it actually can be used as a noun or a verb, but for a noun, it really is referring to control or some kind of higher position, advantageous type of position, also using skills and capabilities in a verb form. So we need leverage in this deal, or we are leveraging the sales team for the proposal. Lots of moving parts. So if you think about what that means, could be something complicated. So it's really something that is a complicated system, process, or even a business that has a lot of departments or employees, or could be all over the world. So for example, the process is hard to follow because it has a lot of moving parts. Core competency. This is a term used in the context of a company or an individual, could be one of your colleagues, their main skills or areas of expertise. For example, my core competency is data analysis. Low-hanging fruit. So this one is kind of what it sounds like, the imagery here, where you can reach up and it's easy to grasp. And pick, like say, an apple from a low-hanging branch. So this refers to a simple project or a new idea that could produce immediate and beneficial results. So for an example, there's a typo here, our best way to get started is to find some low-hanging fruit. Quick wins, similar to low-hanging fruit, but this is going to be easy, fast, and usually economical or not a lot of cost associated solutions. A change, and it's also something that you could change that's going to be immediately visible and noticed right away. So for an example, let's identify some quick wins to show progress. Blue sky thinking. This is meant to be brainstorming or having a creative working sessions to flush out a lot of ideas in a relative short amount of time. So here it's used to describe extremely creative problem solving and innovative new ideas. An example here is we need to get into a room for some blue sky thinking. Greenfield, another color-oriented term, means something different. And in the literal context and what it's used, I think in real estate, it literally means like a green field or some kind of open land. But in the business and professional context, it can mean a market or business opportunity that hasn't been commercially exploited. I've also heard it used in the context of maybe it's a blank canvas or you're starting from a relative low, you don't have a lot to start with. So in this context or example, this startup client is greenfield because they just got funding. Okay, let's talk a little bit about training. Training is going to be one of those key topics that I'll like to address in the channel, split it up amongst a number of different topics, and I'll just go over a few examples right now. The first one is communication. This is a really essential skill set that's needed in the workplace. This is going to be everything from written and verbal, even nonverbal communication, body language. I'd like to get into some training materials that will help you develop better communication skills and maybe how to write emails, better to explain your point of view, how to interact with others, also eliminating filler words in your speech and being able to get across your point of view or your topics as clearly and concisely as possible. So, a few topics in this regard that we'll do deeper dives into with the various videos on the channel. Something along the lines of best practices for emails, being able to use active listening at work. This is really important skill set. Being able to understand what's being asked, ask clarifying questions, and we'll go towards some interview topics as well, both being able to interview others for jobs, but also in client settings, in working with your colleagues, perhaps from other departments. The active listening is going to be a great skill to work on facilitating meetings, the communications required there, presentation skills, public speaking, whether it's, I know this could be a nerve-wracking type of topic, but being able to better navigate those, having more confidence in your presentation skills and public speaking. Conflict resolution is another one. I think this will be a good topic because navigating difficult conversations can be challenging, and just, going through maybe some scenarios, best practices on how to do those difficult conversations, whether it's performance related, maybe it's an HR issue that you as a manager have to get involved in, how to interpret body language, being able to read a room. That'll also be something. Proposal writing. This will be submitting proposals. This will be responding to proposals like RFPs, requests for proposals. Negotiation and being able to better persuade your audience and get the terms that you're looking for. Topics also for communication will be customer service, how to deal with customers that might not be happy and calling in to complain, and then just any other high stakes types of conversations. Maybe it's meetings with the board, meeting with executives, and being able to handle some of those conversations. Leadership, this will be a good training topic. It's something that you can continuously develop. Even experienced leaders need to be able to develop these skills. It takes time. How to guide a team, how to promote professional growth, how to elevate others, providing opportunities for growth, elevating others. People who want to grow in their organization, they're usually looking to develop their leadership skills, and this goes a long way towards promotions and just also leading by example. So I'd like to do a few deeper dives here on the channel with mentoring others, helping with decision making, whether it's you're the decision maker or maybe you're an influencer of the decisions, any change management that's going to require leadership. Maybe there's a transition happening at work. Maybe there's a merger of some kind, maybe some new processes that are being implemented, or maybe even a new system. Certainly some leadership that's required there. Effective delegation, being able to track and manage others without it feeling like it's micromanagement. Um, Evaluating your team, providing timely feedback, and giving measurable goals for the team. That'll also be part of some topics on the channel. Perhaps some incentive programs. These could be less formal or more formal with HR, developing any performance standards and benchmarks, having to have any kind of disciplinary action that might be needed. Again, that's some of those difficult conversations from the communication side, managing feedback, providing feedback, and then being able to recognize accomplishments and success. Teamwork, this is a good one. The ability to work in a team, both need to be individual contributors, but there's certainly the times to work together as a team. How you can work better with your colleagues, have a direct impact on your productivity and your contributions as a team member. Being able to develop good teamwork skills, communication is a part of that. Resolving issues with the team, being able to prioritize your team, discussing any qualities for effective teamwork, building the good conditions for a team, developing a team strategy. Those will be some of the types of topics. Some deeper dives I'd like to do in terms of getting into teamwork, brainstorming, how to conduct any brainstorming sessions, collaborating across different departments. Maybe there's a different functional area that you have to partner with, or maybe they're a major stakeholder, having to work with some of those teams across different departments, various team building strategies. Also how to compromising. Maybe you can't make everyone happy, but how can you get to a compromise solution that's going to keep everyone on the same page and continuing to work together efficiently? Being able to connect with others, structuring your team. There are different roles required for the team, establishing trust with your team, being able to take in different perspectives and listening. Again, part of that active listening comes as being also a leader. It's part of teamwork, and also setting realistic expectations. Productivity. This one is how to be as efficient as possible. The training will hopefully provide different strategies about how to be more productive, various factors how to address factors that can be working against you with your productivity. And then creating a productive workspace, practicing discipline, and being able to keep to any deadlines, any throughput that's needed throughout the course of the week or the timeline throughout the course of the month to make sure you're hitting deadlines. Putting together tasks for the team and managing those tasks, being able to organize the team, correcting any bad work habits that you're, between yourself and people on your team, planning for any PTO or, absences that might happen, especially if they're unplanned. And then setting deadlines, being able to manage against deadlines, and identifying any issues and risks that might come up that might impact a deadline or the productivity of a team. Professionalism. This is a really important one. Always being professional, being on time, dressing the part. I know The workplace has gotten pretty flexible with attire, but knowing your company's culture and what's acceptable, what's not, knowing if you're going to a client site, how is the client dressing, and not coming in inappropriately dressed or overdressed, for that matter. Being able to have emotional intelligence, putting yourself into the shoes of others, and having empathy. Best practices for being able to, your etiquette in the workplace, everything from voicemails to talking on the phone. I think in this day and age, people forget you can just pick up the phone, or call a colleague if they're not responding, or ping them on your Teams or Slack channels. Being able to express professionalism, appreciation. Somebody accomplished something, or somebody was able to get back to you in a short amount of time. Building a positive reputation, and having strong workplace ethics are all going to be different topics that I'd like to discuss on the channel during some of the training in the training category. Okay, so the next section I'd like to talk about are soft skills. So, what are soft skills? Why are they important? Give you some examples and talk through the benefits of developing soft skills for your professional development. So, what are soft skills? These are going to be various people skills, essentially. People skills are soft skills, but there are other skills that can be developed. It's not like you just are born with these. Anything like developing relationships, being able to demonstrate professionalism, communication is a big one. Being able to speak articulately, get your point across in a concise manner. These are all skills that can be developed over time. Some professions, if you think about like customer service, those entirely rely on soft skills, or a sales oriented role, any type of client interactions. Those are all going to be based on soft skills, especially business development. So when you're interacting with your coworkers, or whether it's customers and clients, soft skills are going to be your biggest asset to have developed over time, to be able to make those interactions more, as productive and impactful, and be able to impress people with your professionalism and your people skills. So developing and improving your soft skills is going to be really important, not only with your existing employers, but any growth opportunities, any external events or networking opportunities. These are all going to come into play and be big assets for you and your professional development. What are some examples? Problem solving is one. There's so many. I'll just go over a few right now, but I like problem solving. This one shows your resourcefulness, being able to address any challenges you encounter in the workplace, any helping to fix things that are broken, being able to use an investigative type of mindset in order to solve the problems and get to the root cause of an issue. Being able to look at all of the different angles and understand the issue, and then be able to come up with a solution. And that actually takes into consideration the next one that I wanted to talk about, which is creativity. Being creative isn't just artistic. This can be any number of other creative aspects to your work, like being able to solve a problem with a creative solution. Creativity also comes into play when you're conducting various brainstorming sessions, or if you're developing a strategy for a product or a business strategy. And then obviously the more creative aspects, whether it's graphical design or social media outreach, marketing, advertising. Those all require creativity. Integrity, that's another one. So this is your professionalism, this is your accountability, this is being able to be trusted in the workplace. If you make various promises or commitments, such as delivery deadlines, being able to adhere to those and showing that you can be consistent and reliable on any of your projects or initiatives, and definitely, shows a lot of very key soft skill in terms of being able to deliver and being accountable, and it's really just part of your professional integrity. So, why are soft skills important? Well, it's definitely important in the sense that your employers, people that you meet uh, throughout your career, whether it's at your existing employers, future employers, people that you meet in industry, any professional networking, these soft skills are going to be at the forefront of your interactions, because at the end of the day, business and work is very people oriented, in building relationships, investing in relationships, knowing how to navigate difficult circumstances, and really just being professional and courteous with one another, making friendships at work. These are all going to go a long ways towards you building your network, you showing your capabilities at work, and impressing your employers and any future employers. So, why are they important? One of them, it signals your long term potential. So, when you are either up for a new role or a promotion or interviewing for a new job, one of the things employers are going to look at is, what's your long-term potential? Now, I know in this day and age, positions aren't filled as long as they used to be, but it's still a factor when it comes to your potential at a new employer. They're thinking more, at least over the next few years and possibly longer, when they're filling a role. And your soft skills goes a long ways towards establishing that potential, and how long you could potentially stay. And they're also looking at it in terms of uh, how you're going to resolve conflicts, your commitment and motivation. Ultimately, your work ethic and your professionalism are also different indicators of your longevity in a role and your longevity with an employer, and how you can distinguish yourself from other candidates for the position is with your soft skills. Your soft skills also shows your ability to work as a team. Now, you'll be an individual contributor in many roles, but you'll more likely than not be working with others either as a formal team or just needing to work and collaborate with your coworkers. And so soft skills definitely help to demonstrate your ability to be a team member, your communication skills, being able, again, back to some of the how you would handle conflicts, different personalities in the office, or really just in your work setting, wherever that happens to be. Especially now, if you're looking into a managerial type of position, how are you going to manage the team? Your soft skills go a long ways into an employer being able to assess that, evaluate you, especially if it's a new role or if you're up for promotion. So demonstrating your teamwork skills shows your employers how you can be an asset in the workplace and how you can manage and work with others. Building relationships. This is, any of your relationships that you've had to date historically. These can go all the way back to your high school buddies. These could be your fellow alumni, anybody you went to college with, grad school groups. And so establish those relationships, maintain those relationships, and as you work with people over time, put some energy into outside, not necessarily outside of the office, but outside of work. Like, use the first couple of minutes of a one-on-one meeting to ask about how your weekend was, or get to know your colleagues, and isn't always just getting right down to business. So these are all about soft skills are required to be able to invest in the relationships. It is an investment. It's an investment for you. It's an investment from your coworker to spend some time and get to know one another, and what makes each other tick, makes each other motivated, and really just helps for building those relationships, building more cohesion with your coworkers and your team. Helps with any issues that may result or misunderstandings, having that relationship. And then on the external side, as you either work with clients or vendors, or you attend professional events, not only will their soft skills help with making those new relationships, but hopefully continuing to maintain those relationships, reaching out, connecting on LinkedIn. And this is definitely something, building relationships and eventually growing your network, which is the next benefit I want to talk about. Being able to do that as soon as possible and early on in your career is absolutely beneficial. So then, yes, growing your network. So this is not only with people that you currently work with. These are people that you've worked with historically, the people that you went to school with. These could be local chapters of an industry group, in your city, your alumni group, whatever it happens to be. Work on growing your network, and the soft skills that you will develop will go a long ways towards helping you do that. And I always highly recommend LinkedIn, making connections, and posting as well. And we'll have some special topics around building your network on LinkedIn. Professional growth. This is a big benefit of your soft skills and developing soft skills. Being able to be coachable, getting constructive feedback, giving feedback, even upward feedback to your mentors, to your management, and being able to take that feedback and act upon that, right? Even if it may seem overly critical, or maybe you don't agree with the feedback, but there's always some nuggets to take out of feedback. And I think being coachable, being receptive to feedback, and being self-aware are huge steps towards that professional growth that, again, the soft skills go a long way towards developing. And these are things that can be learned over time. And again, a lot of it is just being self-aware and using various soft skills to help in your professional growth. So another factor and benefit of soft skills that can help keep you organized, things like time management, or the attention to detail, or the ability to delegate work, and knowing what you should delegate, maybe things that you need to keep an eye on, maybe things that you need to own yourself, but that this is a skill. And being able to triage things that you need to work on or delegate, manage across a team, manage yourself. And so this type of a soft skill also helps with project management, which also be another topic. Being able to stay motivated, keep on top of the deadlines, staying accountable, and building trust ultimately. Because if your team sees that you're organized, whether you're the team lead or just part of the team, and showing that you're prepared, you're organized, always gives the right impression. And you can highlight these types of skills, especially when you're either working your way towards a promotion or when applying for new roles. These are always going to be valued in the workplace, and demonstratable soft skills that prove you're an asset to any company that you're going to be working for. Soft skills also help you show that you can take initiative. Speaking up in a meeting, having ideas that you can take from an idea to reality with a project. Uh, Employers are looking for these types of people to emerge. And everybody's on their own pace and own track, and it doesn't really matter when you do that, but it's just being able to take initiative, whether you had an idea for something or your manager is looking for a volunteer. Being able to take that initiative, and being your soft skills, your confidence, um, being ambitious, being creative and solving problems, things that were discussed, these all go a long ways towards establishing you as a self-starter, somebody who takes that initiative to get things done. Leadership skills. So demonstrating leadership skills. Soft skills are going to be a huge building block and huge part of leadership skills. Being able to show that you can focus on your team, you are a great leader. Your soft skills include things like emotional intelligence. You can relate to your team, you can empathize with your team, you can give your team direction, you can stay organized, you can communicate with your team, you can communicate with your management, your leadership, being able to anticipate risks and pitfalls and any obstacles and challenges that you can help smooth the path for your team to make things easier. These are all soft skills that build towards leadership and demonstrate your leadership abilities. People with strong with soft skills are able to analyze things like strategy and help the team succeed, and implementing strategies, being able to think ahead, thinking out of the box, and all of these together are very valuable to your employers. They're different than technical skills, and they go a long ways towards showing your leadership abilities. Building confidence. Confidence comes from your knowledge. Confidence comes from your experience of having already been in the situation, and your soft skills all get you there with respect to and maybe it's even something that's new to you and been outside of your comfort zone, but being organized, being prepared, having done your research and homework brings you into a situation that you haven't been in before, with a lot more background, a lot more knowledge, and you can start being able to address any unknowns, things that you may not have experienced before, and you'll be able to, with soft skills, to be able to adapt, to be able to react, and anticipate as best as possible. And this can be done with setting your mind, getting the right mindset, and just having that confidence to address the problems, and having those critical thinking skills, having those problem solving skills. That even if it's something you haven't done, you can figure it out. Soft skills also help with building your reputation. The more reliable you are, the more that you're able to solve an issue, the more reliable you are, the more initiative that you take. These all go towards building your reputation, and you become known as the person that can get stuff done, that raises their hand, that is ready to take on a challenge. And this translates well with your colleagues. This translates well with your management. This translates to your clients, and ultimately starts building your reputation within your professional network. And then seeking recommendations also helps with your reputation as well. So these are all parts of the soft skills section that we'll be diving in deeper into and having dedicated content towards on the channel. So let's talk a little bit more about career advice and different, I guess, tips for you to succeed in your role and develop professionally. First one I'd bring up would be think about getting outside of your comfort zone. Whenever you try something new, you have to prepare yourself and do some research, um, getting yourself ready. Just like if you were getting ready for a game, you have to train, you have to investigate and review the other side so you're ready. So getting out of your comfort zone is really going to help prepare you for either your next role, make you more successful in your role currently, or even setting you up for promotion. You may consider taking on new things to be difficult, and it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but by embracing upskilling, research, making sure you're doing your reading for your industry knowledge, this is all a process of building up your skills. And even if you have to do some reskilling, which is learning new skills to pursue a different role, you can pursue these new challenges by developing these skills, volunteering for leadership responsibilities, working across different functional areas with different departments at work. Show up early and often. This is, can be as simple as, yes, being the first one to get in. And no matter how long you've been doing your role, I think showing this as your motivation and eagerness for getting your work done, you can probably also make a case to finish your day a bit earlier if you're starting earlier. The good news is that starting earlier, not all of your colleagues might be online just yet, and this is a great time to get ahead of the day, get caught up from the previous days, and doing this frequently. That's the often part. Your employers might, will start to notice this and appreciate that extra effort. It'll also help you with staying in good terms, being eager, and showing up on a regular basis. Embracing continuous improvement. This is, it's a lifetime of learning, and you're always learning new things, whether it's for work or otherwise. But no matter what stage of your career you're in, you can always continue to learn, and you need to keep learning to stay sharp on skills. When you learn continuously, you gain more skills, you're more flexible, you're more adaptable in your career path. And really being willing to learn is a tremendous attribute that many employers are going to value in today's workplace. Being able to show that you've developed new skills and being able to apply those skills. So attend professional development events, take advantage of any training that your employer may offer, and especially any subscription services with training such as LinkedIn or Coursera. Now, you're going to have some ideas about your career path. So setting those goals, keeping tabs with your career path is really what you want to do at least once a year. Keep your network fresh, make sure you're updating LinkedIn, checking out any new opportunities, compare yourself, your salary, especially before any comp discussions. Looking at some of that market data can always, help you and make sure you're achieving your goals for financial as well. Definitely stay on top of industry trends. It's always great to stay competitive in the job market as well by researching the top trends in your industry. It's also a good time when checking in on your career path to, maybe talk to some peers, attend some networking events, see what others are doing, and making sure that you're tracking towards any goals that you've set out, whether it's this year or your 5-year goals. Always make some regular check-ins on your career path. Finding value in feedback or criticism. Now, there's always some nugget from feedback. Even if you hear something that could be completely off base, you disagree with it, look at it objectively and see where there's some value you can get out of it and make some improvements. and using it as constructive feedback, especially if it's something you don't always agree with. So each piece of feedback that you're going to get is going to help you grow and further develop in your career. And instead of focusing on the delivery or how the message received or the person that's giving you the feedback, just do your best, manage your emotions, and then try to take where there's some value out of that. And I know I've been in this situation a few times where I don't know, I think I was told maybe I could be doing more, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I could be doing more. And so, and I remember being new to the role and not even like a month or two in the role, and somebody's already criticizing me that I'm not doing enough. It's like, okay, well, and then I remember really immersing myself into the role, and then coming out after only a few months being an expert and knowing quite a bit, still with a lot more to learn. And that's, I think, what's always good to keep in mind. No matter how much you've learned and you've achieved, there's always more for you to learn and to be better. Nobody's perfect. We all want to be better. And so taking that value out of the feedback or criticism. And it really is just essential for growing. And I think the biggest part of taking feedback and being coachable is that self-awareness. So holding yourself accountable. Now, this is living up to your commitments, living up to any promises, holding on to deadlines. So it's really important that, matching your words with your actions. Employers are really going to appreciate dependable employees that they can trust. If you tell your manager or one of the leaders that you're going to be able to finish a project by a certain time, then doing all the necessary steps to finish the project is essential. It's about maintaining the relationships, and trust is a big part of that relationship. Once you hold yourself accountable and you stay accountable to what you've set for expectations, you'll notice that other people will notice and rely upon you for being able to get things done when you say you're going to be able to get them done. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, this could be anything that's unclear about requirements or expectations, or maybe it's a newer area. Some people shy away from questions because it makes them seem like they're not experienced or they don't know what they're doing. And I don't think that's the case. I think asking also the right kinds of questions, being prepared, asking smart questions, digging in deeper is a huge advantage. And your employers, the people that you're interviewing with will all notice this. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions that also help build your knowledge. It's part of that learning process that I talked about in the last point. You may also think about asking questions that are outside of your title, knowing more about the company, anything that can help you be a better resource and asset to your organization. The next one is to develop SMART goals, and SMART's in all caps because that stands for a framework. The S means specific, making specific goals. And this is something that, you can either write them out, part of your performance reviews, or goal setting exercises. M is for measurable, making it something that you can actually track. A is for achievable. This is making the goal practical and realistic. Something that you would actually be able to achieve, at the end of that, whatever that time period is. And it can also be a much longer term goal as well. Relevant is for R. Your goals need to be aligned with either not only your values, your career goals, your passions, and any long-term objectives that you may have for either the role or your career in general, or your career at the company. and T is making it time bound. So this is where the goals that you're setting can be not only measured but achieved in a certain amount of time, and that it's not like sort of an endless, indefinite time period. Building your network. I think this is a good one to get started as soon as possible. Tap into any of your social groups, whether it's a fraternity from college or just even your alumni group if after school. Any local chapters, there's a lot of meetups, there's a lot of professional networks, based in your area, your city that you live in. So take advantage of those. Make sure you're attending any professional events, especially if you get invited to any of them. Make sure you connect with people on LinkedIn while you're there, and make sure you're also trying to maintain your relationships. If it's any of your buddies from college that have now moved on to great roles, anything like that. Even your former colleagues, any former clients, make sure you're checking in, especially around the holidays and any other events. It's really good to invest in the relationship and take it outside of a professional setting to the extent possible. Don't be afraid to ask for help. This is a little bit different than asking questions. This is where, if you have now made several commitments to getting things done at a certain time, or project deadlines, maybe something changed, maybe you lost a resource, definitely raise your hand and speak up to your manager, to whoever the project sponsors are. And as you're giving updates on a periodic basis, raise certain things as issues and be able to try to anticipate things that may come up as potential risks. The sooner that your leadership or your project sponsors or your manager knows that there may be an issue and that you can quantify the issue or you can point to a reason, that helps in terms of being able to now get help. Maybe you have to hire somebody. Maybe you have to borrow resources on a temporary basis. Maybe you have to push back the deadline, having that conversation, and one of those difficult conversations sooner rather than later, is going to be to your advantage and not come as a surprise to anyone, because you were transparent about it. You were able to ask for the help that was needed. And it's not perceived as a weakness. This is perceived as a strength. And especially if you can anticipate where some of these pitfalls might occur. Staying positive. Now, this can be hard, especially when things might be going sideways, or there's a lot of stress, or there's something else going on at the company. It could be a challenging environment with the company financially. Maybe it's just after some layoffs, but always staying positive. People that are perceived as optimistic, even during the hardest of times, like keeping a cool head, staying cool under fire. These kinds of qualities and characteristics are always going to be perceived as very, very positive, very advantageous for you. Being able to view any of the challenging situations that you come across, being able to think clearly, continue to problem solve, and be resourceful, comes a lot from having that positive attitude. If you're dwelling on some of the negatives, on some of the things that haven't gone well, this could hold you back from having those creative ideas and that mental flow, and become a block to you. So always stay positive. And if you need a break from something, if you need to step away, to have that, maybe a mental day, take a longer weekend, to be able to continue to keep up those positive vibes, definitely do so. Striving for a balance. Now, this goes a little bit with staying positive, but work-life balance is really important to your mental health and your happiness and ultimately your productivity. Now, I know That's a term that's thrown around a lot there, and I think it means different things. It's a relative term, and if whatever work life balance means to you, and also within the construct or the context of your employer and your organization and culture, take advantage of those. There might be some extra sick days that you can take as mental health days off, or make sure you're taking your PTO, and don't feel bad about not taking your PTO. If there's any wellness benefits, maybe there's some coaching or guidance or some counseling that might be offered. Maybe some things like gym memberships or any other perks that can benefit your health. Be sure to take advantage of those, and that's gonna definitely help you keep some of that balance. And be sure to take time for yourself, whether it's your hobbies, your family, your time off. Be sure that you're doing all those things. Staying current. Now, this is about staying fresh about your industry, your knowledge, learning any new skills. Maybe there's some new tools out there or some new techniques that can help you in your role, and just taking some time and making sure that you're doing that. It's a big part of your professional development, and needing to be able to then showcase that you have knowledge in these areas only proves more to your employers how much of an asset you are, and that you take the time, you take some trainings, you are staying fresh on your skills, and your industry knowledge is always going to go a long way with your employers. Being professionally courteous. Now, this comes up, really, this needs to apply at all times. Be professional, whether if you can't attend an interview, let them know and cancel it, or work with them to reschedule. Don't just not show up. Or if you are leaving your job and you're going to resign, make sure that you give the notice. Like a 2-week notice is pretty standard, no matter how toxic or bad your work situation may have been. It's always best to give the notice, work the notice period, provide any knowledge transfer, any transition assistance you can. Only makes you come off as professional, and can only help you, because not doing some of these things has the potential to burn some bridges, that break some relationships, make you viewed less favorably, and that's not helping you for sure. And so making sure that you're professionally courteous at all times is key and essential to not only your perceptions, but a big part of your reputation. So definitely keep that up. No task is too small. Now, this is really a concept of having to roll up your sleeves, and sometimes you have to get in and do some work. Maybe it's not something that's your job. It's really, you got to take an initiative and help, lead or get something else done. Maybe having to wear a few different hats at work, and being a jack of all trades is sometimes it. Also, some of the little things that maybe there's some trainings that are due, that are really compliance trainings, especially. Those deadlines are not just suggestions. You want to be making sure that you're meeting those deadlines, making the time for training. It's not like those trainings are not, just unimportant. Or even maybe you have to do a timesheet or expenses on a regular basis, making sure you're staying on top of those so that bills get paid, or that invoices are getting paid on time, or your company is getting paid for your time. Just making, and some of those things, may seem mundane or unimportant, but they are very important to the operations of the company. So making sure that even what seems like something small, making sure that you're doing it, and it shows your attention to detail, it shows your respect for the processes, and only helps you in how you're perceived at work. Being open about your goals. Now, this is something that helps especially with your career progression, or if you want to be up for promotion, or maybe there's a slightly different role that you want in the company. Making it known, maybe if you're starting a new project and your team lead, you tell them about, you really want to work with such and such tool. You have some ideas about how to do some work more efficiently. Maybe you tell them you want to really go from the development side, maybe to the project management side, or managing a team. That's going to help your managers, your leaders, help identify areas that they can insert you to achieve some of these goals. And just being open about it, and letting either your internal mentors or your management know, not by compromising anything that you need to do in your existing role, and really just being positive about it, and articulating any value that you certainly think you can get, and that it would be mutually beneficial, not only for you but also for your company and maybe even your project. Attending company events. This is really important in terms of building relationships at work. There's probably going to be everything from a Christmas party to other events or conferences. Maybe there's some communities of interest at work that there's even, I think I've seen even some book clubs at work that are great for building relationships, and just helps being that, add to the culture, being more sticky with your colleagues, and again, forging those relationships that, you never know how those are going to benefit you down the road. You're not going to make any good relationships just sitting at home, especially if you're in a remote environment, behind a computer. You really need to get out there in person. Work is a big part of work, and career is about building relationships. So make sure you're getting out there. These are great networking opportunities. It shows that you care about the organization. It shows that you can learn more about the culture, you care about the culture, and you want to be involved. And a big part of that goes towards leadership skills as well. So interview skills. This is also being, not only is it interviews for, say, new jobs, but it's also interview skills with respect to how you would conduct an interview. Someday you may be on the other side as a hiring manager or involved in the interview process. And having been on one side of the equation, I've myself been on both sides, having an interview for another role or conducting several interviews. And some of the work that I know I've done over the years is the interviews are also interviewing clients. And sometimes you have to conduct several interviews to do an assessment or understand a root cause of an issue. Anytime you have to have meetings with your colleagues from maybe another department, or maybe it's just another team. Anytime you're going to have a meeting, it's almost like, when you're asking questions, it's in a way your interview skills and asking the right kinds of questions and active listening and following along with what's being said. And if something isn't clear, getting clarification on that, or if somebody says something and maybe it lacks some detail, being able to dig into that further. So these are all different ways. And one common way for interviewing, say, for a job, is to use the STAR method. And this is to highlight all of your examples and various experiences by describing the situation, that's S, describing the task at hand, T, the action that you took, A, and the result, R, star. And so crafting your responses in that way can definitely help you with being able to better articulate each situation. And in preparation, if you think about and maybe write out or practice your interview skills in that framework, the STAR framework, maybe that can also help you with how you're doing that, and then you start doing that more naturally. Learning about different parts of your company. I think this is a great one, especially I'd be surprised how many times I come across people who really only know what it is that they do, and you ask them anything else, and sometimes they just don't know. And I think work and environments, there is a mechanism, really just takes self-interest and being interested in other parts of your company. Maybe it's how the company operates, maybe it's the where the company operates, the different products, the different departments, the different divisions. There's so many different aspects to companies depending on how they're set up, and just showcasing that interest and developing that knowledge over time. Most leaders in executive positions, they're the ones that really know more. They've either been around or they are generalists. Also, if you're thinking in terms of strategy career, understanding different functional areas of a company, different operations, getting exposure to those, even if you're just having coffee with a colleague from another department to tell them more about what they do and what's going on with their department and how it works, goes a long ways towards also establishing your credibility, your professionalism, your just commitment to the company. So all things to keep in mind.